Welcome back to another edition of Off the Record. Mamba was making fun of me as we did our little intro there. I think we did press record though, so maybe Dylan can edit that in. Coming down in 3, 2, and 1. Anyways, it's just us two this week. Hectic schedules, coming back from Martinsville, partying with Ryan Blaney for Halloween, getting ready to go to Phoenix, which means that we didn't have a lot of time to A, secure guests, and B, guests to be secured did not have the time to become guests. So anyways, that's my long way of saying it's me and Mamba this week. So Mamba, welcome. I'm glad that we get to spend some time with each other because it's been a while, because last week you left me high and dry.
I did not. I invited you to the Halloween party and you didn't make it.
Yeah, I could. It's because I had a serious shift at 3 p.m. yesterday, and I would have had to drive from Charlotte back to DC in time to make my shift. And we all know that I would not have been feeling well the next morning. So it was just a business decision.
Can we all just appreciate the Davey Segal hustle? My man here is a grinder. All he does is work. And it's impressive how you get it all done. I don't really know how you do it.
I don't either. Yeah. I think our boy Jeff Gluck was texting me the other day. He was like, how do you do all these podcasts? And I was just like, I don't know. I don't know. I got Victory Lane, I got Front Stretch, I got this. It's a mess.
Oh, Davey's like, I have an hour. Oh, my camera.
Yeah, you froze. I can still hear you, but you froze, and now you're gone.
We're on the Mac now.
So all right, Mac good. Attack is back. Anyways, okay. You were talking about how I was a grinder, so keep going, keep inflating my ego.
So. Yeah. No, honestly, Davey literally finds an hour to do this with me. And this is something that we started talking about earlier on this year. We're like, we want to bring stories. We want to talk to people. We want to, show a different side of the sport.
We want to go off the record.
Mom. We want to go off the record and be a little more raw, right? Not TV style. We want to be a little more genuine, not that
when our camera just goes off and we can throw F-bombs and have our producer edit that out.
Exactly, just like that. So bro, it's been really fun and I'm excited for where we're going. We both are going to Phoenix, and it is championship week, and I'm excited. But before we get to that, Davey, you were dead center in the middle of not a brawl, but a war of words between all these drivers. What was that like at Martinsville?
Wild. It was wild. Jeff Gluck did a good job of kind of setting the scene on Twitter, because we walk outside after the race and Bowman's on the front stretch. Denny pulls up. He's not pleased and he's showing his displeasure. The crowd is going nuts for Bowman / Denny pulling up there. And then when Denny pulls around and then he parks on pit road, Bowman is still getting out of his car throughout this. And then when Bowman starts to be interviewed, I can hear that. At least I thought I heard that on the PA through TV or MRN, whatever it was. And then the crowd starts booing like crazy. So I was like, okay, maybe he said something and maybe they're mad at him because he spun a playoff guy. But then turns out that they were booing Denny because they showed Denny on the big screen. But my mind was like, well, they wouldn't boo Denny. It's Martinsville. It's one of his home tracks. No. As he said after the race, he's like, it's just Chase Elliott fans. Quote, they don't think straightly, as he said with a straight deadpan face. It was wild to be in the middle of it all. And then, from my perspective, you're hearing this, you're trying to grab content. That was around the start finish line. I run down to turns 1 and 2 because I wanted to see if anything was going to happen with Hamlin and Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski. Nothing really did. Kyle was just kind of standing there, soaking it all in, clearly pissed, because he got wrecked by Brad coming to the start finish line, and then kind of wrecked himself across Brad's nose in turn 1. And then Denny was trying to be calmed down by Chris Gabehart after he called Bowman a hack and threw another F-bomb on NBC. It was nuts. And then we go back to the bullpen and Kyle Busch is calling out Brad, saying that I should beat the shit out of him. Then he dropped the R word, which is super not cool. Sensitivity training for you, Kyle Busch. Yeah, not cool at all. We were talking before we started recording. Literally, as soon as he said that, I think we might have been looking at each other, me and Kyle Busch. As soon as he said that, I was like, yep, that's a fine. And he actually didn't get fined, but that's not cool. Anyways, so all these different things are happening. And to be honest, I wasn't 100% sure who was in and who was out. I was still trying to like get it all in my mind, but I saw Truex and James Small dapping it up. So I'm saying, okay, they're in. Chase is obviously in. Larson's obviously in. And then I was thinking, okay, well, Denny, even though he got spun and he's mad, he's in. So I was kind of like, okay, now I need to formulate questions to ask these guys, which I tried to do. But it was a whirlwind. It was wild. It was crazy. And that's just what you get with Martinsville in the cutoff race. Besides, I think you could probably put 1A, 1B, Daytona as the regular season cutoff to get the playoff field set, and Martinsville as the cutoff to go to the championship for. Probably two of the best decisions that NASCAR has made schedule-wise in a really long time. It was awesome.
and the Roval's right there, right? The Roval is an elimination race, right?
Yeah, it is. And so is Bristol this year as well.
So, I mean, thank you. Like, I don't know what to do except say thank
Bristol,
you.
Roval, Martinsville. That's pretty good.
It's pretty good. And Daytona, but so loving it. I was in the grandstands actually. So I was sitting on the front stretch just before like section O. We're up top. And I'm like, okay, because I got Twitter Spaces and I know there's no service at the racetrack when there's so many people. So I'm like, all right, end of the race, we need to drive 30 minutes as far as we can so I can get service. Do that, get on Twitter Space with NASCAR, actually drive into a dead zone. So I drove out and then like in the middle of it dropped and then it came back and I was like, oh man. So I felt bad about that. But so we're getting up and we're walking out the top and all of a sudden we hear these showering of boos. We're like, oh, Bowman won. Like, okay, time to go. Like Blaney didn't make it. Sucks. I'm going to go lick my wounds a little bit and head back to the house. And we hear all these boos and I turn around and Denny is up in the door of the 48.
Yeah.
And then Bowman, and I don't know if everyone knows this, but Bowman is working on being a drifter now. And he basically does some of his drift move. And you can see the left, dude, the left front locks up and he's like, woof. I was like, oh, that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like, we're about to battle. Like, what are we about to see?
Horns locked, baby.
Dude, I honestly, what I would have done if it was me, I would have kept doing that donut and I would have
around him.
Well, there's not enough room at Martinsville to do it around. They can barely.
And there was like cameras there on foot. Like there was a guy with the camera on foot. That's another reason why I think after the fact, a lot of fans are a little pissed at Denny as well, because, it's one thing if you do it on the racetrack, but I mean, there's some validity to that argument of, I mean, he was coming in hot, like real hot. And there was a person there. So that was a little bit on the dangerous scale.
Yeah. And so I would have just kept doing the donut right in front of him. Like Fast and Furious, like Tokyo Drift, just like right.
And what's Denny gonna do? Like what? Literally ram into him mid donut? He's smart enough. He's not gonna do that.
Then he's gonna look. Then he might get suspended doing that because then we're talking about Bowman Gray style of like using your car as a weapon, and it gets really weird.
And that I think it was either Gabe Hart or Lambert was on the radio right as he finished doing the horns lock thing on the front stretch, and he said, "Be smart, big picture," because if he did something that was egregious in NASCAR's view, I think it would take a lot to suspend a championship 4 driver for the championship race. But I mean, if he did something bad, that could have been on the table. So you never know. But I will ask you this. I have a question though. So the victory lane celebration or the front stretch celebration, I've never driven a race car. I don't know what it's like to win. If you would have been a winner in that scenario, right? You're celebrating at Martinsville short track, like your first short track win for Bowman, and somebody comes up and tries to yuck your yum and is getting in the way of your celebration. Bowman's the most even keel, cool, calm, collected, even mannered guy. But would you be pissed off in that situation if somebody tried to, dampen your parade?
Listen, I'm a very emotional individual, which means as an athlete, I'm way on. So I'm also super petty. So I would have done what I did, what I said, which is like celebrate right in front of you. Oh, you're going to step on my stage? Like, no, you're not, but 2, I would have been pissed and I probably would have want to throw down. Honestly, like I would love to see these guys do that more. Dude, I think that's kind of what we
could you have imagined if Denny pulls up, gets out of his car, like motions for Bowman to come out and they just went at it? Could you imagine? That would be the most epic moment in NASCAR history. Better than 79.
Give me that. Like, that's
Inject
what I want.
it into my veins.
That's what everybody wants. That's what everybody wants. Like they get mad at each other, and it's almost like they get so mad at each other, but they still, there's like a shred of respect underlying of like, you know, not gonna go that far. And I don't know why exactly, because I don't know if it's respect. I just don't know what it is, because I would throw down. Like, I'd rather you, and to that point, I would rather somebody punch me in the face after the race than wreck my race car. Now, it's different on the cup level, right? Because they're not working on their own stuff, but my guys are. Like, my guys got to take that thing back to the shop and put it in tear. It's more work, right? Don't penalize my guys. Like, I'm right here. My face will heal in a hot minute. My race car takes money and effort. My face will heal by itself.
Yeah.
So, you know, I loved it though. It was great. Honestly, the truck race too.
Well, you led me right into that, because you're talking about respect. Look, I have said for a long time, and my mind has been changed this year. I've said for a long time that the Truck Series is my favorite series in NASCAR. This year, it's been Xfinity, because the racing's phenomenal. The package is great. The talent, it's so deep. I still love the Truck Series, and I always will. But we've seen in recent years, and especially in recent weeks, that the respect level is just completely going down. It's almost non-existent, right? And it's across the board, because, you know, veteran drivers will blame the young drivers. And then the young drivers will say, well, the system is making me have to be aggressive because I'm trying to move up. I have this trajectory. But the veterans aren't totally innocent either. And we kind of saw it come to a head and boil over into something that I don't think pure racing fans really like to see. I mean, there was 89 of the 200 or whatever laps run under caution. Come on. I mean, we can't have that. I mean, Zane Smith, he wins. He's got to do what he's got to do. That's great. But the way that he got it done, and then Stuart Friesen wrecking the 38 and the 88 and the 98, there was just so, and obviously Austin Wayne Self and John Hunter, there was just so many head scratching, you know, face palm moments in that truck race that made you say, what are we doing? Like, where's the line? Where's the line of respect here? And this is the third time I've mentioned Jeff Gluck, but he wrote in his top 5 column about that, like, where is the line? Because you could clearly see in the truck race that was crossed. In the Xfinity race, it was unbelievably respectful, hard racing. And then in the Cup Series, it was a little bit of both. So you led me right into that point about the Truck Series and the lack of respect. I don't know how you feel about it, but to me, it was a little much. I was not a huge fan.
To me, they look like, a lot of the times it looks like legend car racing down at the shootout. Like a lot of just like, I'm just gonna hit you. I'm not gonna race you. I'm just gonna hit you.
No repercussions.
So like, I this is why I am a huge advocate of whooping someone's ass. I mean, regardless if it's my ass that needs to get whooped, because once it gets whooped once, my mom spanked me one time really hard. I didn't do dumb stuff all that much anymore that resorted to that type of
lesson.
Right. So funny thing about pain that teaches somebody not to be dumb.
I'll tell you who wanted to whoop someone's ass and was about to. You see Junior Joyner?
Dude.
Holy Jesus.
When he
that man was mad.
When he looked at the camera and like dead in the camera and mouthed what he mouthed, I was like, mass sarcasm, I need you to meme this immediately. So but like going through, right? So we'll start with John Hunter. First off, bud, you're just protecting points. Like, why are you in the 22s bumper like that? He gets jacked up. You have no reason to be racing him that hard. You do a 3-wide move, running like 15th. Do a 3-wide move for what?
Big picture.
Big picture. And then you go off in there, dive bomb him. And quite frankly, like, you want to talk about getting turned? Yeah, he got turned. That was the end result. But like the 22 kind of just ran his line down in there. Like, you were in a bad spot.
John Hunter should not have put himself in that position. And Austin Wayne Self, he says he didn't know he was underneath him. He should have known who was underneath him and what they had at stake. So both parties are definitely at fault.
Yeah. I mean, was it a racing deal? Yeah. But was it dumb? Yeah. So there's that one. The one with the 38, I mean, that was wild. I mean, the 52 just ran through him, like just said screw it. And the 21, like he was in, that was what he had to do. Like at least he didn't wreck him, but he forced what happened with the 38, right? Because he went down in there and pushed him out of the way. 88, 98. I don't know what the 98 was doing, running it over his teammate. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Then Creed is super mad at Crafton, right? I didn't see what happened, so I don't know how egregious it was. But and to Sheldon's point, he's like, man, I was out here trying to race everyone clean and do what we had to do the right way, right? The racer way. And I'm like, I respect that. At the same time, comes a point where it's like, it's me or you.
Yeah.
And where we saw with Brad, I felt like Brad in the Cup race, he didn't do that. Like he still finished behind the 18. Mm-hmm. And if he wanted to, he had 25 laps to wreck him. So like I was a little confused why.
Well, that's what Kyle was saying too. He was confused. He said like, and he was very adamant about it. He said, Brad and I raced respectfully all day long. If anything, I was more aggressive towards him. And then what he said was at the end, he wrecked him for no reason. He was like, for what? For second place? Didn't matter because you were going to have to win anyway. One position does nothing for you. And then he was like, you've been putting coins in the bucket all day and you emptied them right there at the end. So yes, that's going to affect how I race you moving forward. So I don't know what he was doing either. Maybe it was a misjudgment. I don't know, but we saw it across the board.
Well, at one point, wasn't the 19, like it was him, it was the 19, the 18, and the 2 within like a couple points, right?
Yeah, they were close for the last 20 laps of the race.
Right. So like at one point, it was like the 19 looked like he was going to end up being junk. And it was going to be whoever beat each other out of the 18. I don't know
how he finished fourth.
That's what I'm saying. The 19 was, he plowed the wall.
He was wrecked.
If that thing doesn't need upper pivot points and lowers on the right front, I don't know what.
Dude,
how.
Spitting water, right? Left front caved in, pancaked the wall, and then got run up the track by the 10, all in like a 5-lap span. And somehow he finished fourth, much in part thanks to gaining like 3 rows on the last choose. And Kyle came over the radio after he saw that, because I think the 19 was in his mirror. And he was so devastated. He was like, well, there goes our shot. Because at that point, Truex was behind the 18, but then the choose allowed him to gain like 5 spots.
So that might be it right there. We might have just figured out the whole Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski thing, because I don't know if the 2 knew that the 19 was that far up and that it took, right? The 18 knew. So Kyle's very cerebral, right? He knows what's going on around him all the time.
And everything's happening so quick, right? So it's hard to relay the info.
Yeah, right. So the 2 might not have known. He's like, all right, it's me or the 18. And he decided not. And you know what I mean? So that was a crazy situation. Then you go to the Xfinity race, right? The 54 gets run over too. Like, you know, this is what we asked for. We asked for this. So I'm not gonna be mad. I just want to see them fight after, because I would be mad.
Yeah, I did too.
It. Just
I wish that they would throw fisticuffs. I wish that they would throw hands. I think out of any series, probably Trucks would be the most likely to. Junior Joyner would be the most likely to.
Period. That's it.
But yeah, I mean, another thing too, and I mean, I'm not one to nitpick Matt Crafton, because Lord knows he's way more successful than I will ever be in the sport, and he can also beat my ass.
Well, yeah, he could do that.
But he and Junior on the radio, multiple times this season have said like, oh, I'm going to knock that guy's teeth in after the race, or like, I'm going to beat his ass. And I mean, to Junior's respect to Junior, because he was trying to actually
he was ready to go.
I think he was going after Trip Bruce on the 52.
Trip Bruce, yeah. Him and Trip were nose to nose.
But Crafton, I think he was asked too by Dustin Long, like, why don't you go beat people up? Like, why don't you go punch somebody in the face when you're mad? And he kind of gave an answer like, well, it doesn't do anybody any good. I'm battling for the championship, whatever. But I do wish that we would see that. And also talking about Xfinity too, we saw Hemrick and Gregson go at it earlier this year at Atlanta. Oddly enough, them two are running side by side. Noah's told winners want the front row. He takes the lead over Hemrick on the outside at Martinsville, which is not easy to do. And it's a complete 180 from what we saw a couple hours earlier in the truck race on Saturday, when you see complete disrespect, beating and banging out of the way, wrecking people for the win. Noah went up there, did it respectfully, did it cleanly, did it well, and he winds up having a walk-off home run and gets himself into the championship 4. What are you saying this for? It was clean.
That part was clean, but the 54 part was not.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm talking about Noah specifically.
So, no, yeah, no, but Noah,
right.
Noah to get to that point wasn't clean getting there, but I'll give you the Hemrick. Now, if I'm surprised that Hemrick didn't take his shot there.
Well, he said after the race, and you could tell he was like torn about it because he obviously has not won a race in NASCAR. I think it's now 209 races that across the National Series he hasn't won. And he was torn because he said the racer in me did not make the right decision, but we as a team decided to take the bottom because we knew that we were points racing at that moment, because their goal, as he said, is to get to the championship 4 at the start of the season. That's what they set out to do. And he thought that if he was putting himself on the outside, he made his inside susceptible to getting wrecked. And if he loses a couple spots, he's out. So even though he wanted to win, the team overall, including him, made that decision to take the bottom in points race. And he was not super pleased with himself about it afterwards. So that probably answers your question.
Yeah, I just feel like, I just feel like that was the moment. So it's funny because I just watched the Dale Jr. Download episode with him and Kyle Busch talking about the Richmond incident. Yeah. And Junior was like, he's like, I was getting a lot of pressure from my fans and like on myself to retaliate and do something back, because I felt like the racer in me, if I didn't do something, people were always going to walk over me. And I kind of feel like that was a similar moment for the 18. Like, damn Skippy, that in Phoenix, if the 18 is in front of the 9 to win the championship,
9's moving him,
he'll send him back to Charlotte. He'll go off in the last turn. He'll send him all the way back home.
Yeah.
Like,
you think Hemrick would do the same though?
I don't know now. Like, I like to think so. Like, look, if it's me or you, it's got to be me, because
got to be selfish.
You don't pay my paycheck.
Yeah. All right, Mamba. We got a big weekend coming up. You're going down to Phoenix. I'm also going out there to Phoenix. We got 12 drivers eligible for 3 championships. Let's go in chronological order here. Start with the Truck Series. Matt Crafton and Ben Rhodes at ThorSport. You got Zane Smith at GMS, who doesn't know what the hell he's doing next year. So a championship could go a long way for him. And of course, you got John Hunter Nemechek, who gets in by the skin of his teeth. He's been the dominant truck all season. Those 4 going for the truck title. Defending champ Sheldon Creed narrowly misses out on the championship 4. You would say that John Hunter is probably the favorite, but then you look at ThorSport and you say, well, they've had some good runs this season. Crafton's a savvy veteran, so is Rhodes, and Zane's obviously pretty hungry. So I don't know where to lean on this one. My mind tells me the 4, but I'm curious what you think.
I think it's the 4 is to lose, right? Yeah. I think that's the right way to say it. Like, they just got to do what they got to do and do what they've been doing. They almost lost it. They almost gave it all away this past week, obviously. Yeah. They got to be happy that the 2's not in it. Honestly, if you're those guys, you're like, oh, Creed's not in it. Ooh, yeah, that's nice. But Zane ain't no slouch now. Mm-hmm. Like, Zane's battling for his. He won that race, and then broke the flag over his knee.
Good little LeBron.
I was like, what the? But so this race is going to be wild. I don't know about Rhodes. Like, Rhodes to me is like a middle of the road. Like, he's
hot and cold too, a little bit inconsistent.
Yeah, which has kind of been his whole career. I feel like after the ARCA days, like after what was K&N, but the ARCA days where he won like 6 races in the championship, he moved up and it was like hard. And then he's kind of been fluttering around. And then you got the savvy vet. So it's like, I don't know where to go. Raw speed, it's the 4, I think. Yeah. But the 21 really might surprise some people and win this whole thing.
My pick is the 4. Real quick, who's yours?
I'm going to 21.
Okay, yeah. Zane Smith, back-to-back champs for GMS Racing. We'll see how that plays out. Let's move on to Xfinity. We got 4 drivers there as well. You got Daniel Hemrick of Joe Gibbs Racing, who's moving on to Colleague next year. Right. Noah Gragson of Junior Motorsports, who is coming back to the 9 car next season. Right. And then the other 2 drivers, of course. Who do you have? You don't have Justin Allgaier. You don't have Justin Haley. You got AJ Allmendinger. I had a brain fart for a sec. I had to work through it.
You were so straight out. He's like,
I had to work through it. It's been a long couple of days. Still sleep deprived. AJ Allmendinger, and of course Austin Cindric. I forgot the two dominant cars all season long. I went with AJ from the start of the playoffs, so I think it'd be naive to go away from him now. So I think Mrs. America, or Miss North Carolina, hopefully soon to be Miss America, is going to have Mr. Xfinity Series champ, Mr. America. I'll go with the 16 to win.
Dude, I said from the time last year when it came out that AJ was running full-time in Xfinity, I said he is the best driver in the series right now that's full-time because he signed. He is proven that he is the best to me because their stuff is not as good as the Penske stuff. So he's elevated their stuff to being there. I'm going with my boy AJ. I think he's going to be a champ. That's a full circle deal. Yeah. Like it's been full circle already, but AJ comes back after all that he's been through and all he's done, wins a championship. And the celebration is going to be nutty. So
unreal. That's why I want to see it happen.
Yeah.
I was talking to his wife, Tara, on pit road at Martinsville, and I was like, I kind of just want to see him win just so I can see the celebration. I mean, he'll lose his voice in 2 seconds. He'll cry like a baby. He'll probably shotgun some beers like Noah did and like Caitlin Larson does. That would be a celebration to end all celebrations. That's why I want to see it happen.
I'm here for that. The 9, I'm telling you though, the 9 is the wild card that's going to make this thing exciting.
Yeah. And we're not even talking about the 22, who has been the best car all season, won this race a year ago, is going up to the Cup Series next year. I think you're going to have to beat the 22 to do it, but my gut tells me AJ and my heart kind of tells me AJ. So I'm going with the dinger.
The 22 always wins. Like when he wins, it's so smooth when he wins.
Yeah.
It's so non-exciting. Like usually they dominate. And when they win, they dominate. Like it's not like a battle. So I think this is going to battle. You got to battle for the championship. You're not going to walk the dog on them.
All right. Cup Series action. 2 Hendrick, 2 Gibbs. Larson and Elliott versus Hamlin and Truex. This one's tough because obviously on paper you say you got to go through Larson. But then you look at the stats at Phoenix, and Truex has been exceptional there. Won earlier this year. Denny has won a couple times at Phoenix. Chase won the race last year. And who's hot coming in, right? Truex gets in by the skin of his teeth, and he has a good run at Martinsville. He's great at Phoenix. Elliott won the first 2 stages at Martinsville, but got crashed late by Brad. He doesn't have a great finish, but he had the raw speed. Then you got Denny, who's still, who knows where his mind is right now. You assume that it'll be on the straight and narrow. And then Larson, obviously, who Phoenix is not necessarily his best track, but also Hendrick Motorsports. He's having the best season of his career. He's won 9 freaking times. I don't know where to go on this one either, because I picked Larson at the start of the playoffs, but Truex at Phoenix, he's kind of that sneaky guy who can just fly under the radar a little bit, unload well, qualify. We got practice and qualifying this weekend, by the way. He'll probably going to have some speed right off the truck. It's going to be those 4 running 1, 2, 3, 4 at the end of the race. I mean, that's going to happen. I really don't know where to lean on this one. So I'll give it to you first. Who do you think is going to win?
My championship champion all year was YRB the 12. I just felt like he was going to come off and do a lot of stuff he hadn't done this year. And he did all those things and it didn't work out. Got close. It didn't work out. But my second pick was the 5 because Cliff Daniels has a lot to prove, right? Coming off
he doesn't get enough credit, by the way.
Does not. You know that man was with Tony Stewart and Jimmy Johnson. Like,
when was he with Tony?
When in 2013.
Huh.
He was with Tony.
I didn't know he was a Stewart Haas.
Yeah, he was he was over there. He was the head engineer over there. Right. So he's been with, grand total. I guess Tony's got 3, right? Tony's got 3 titles.
10 championships.
10 championships.
Damn.
And he worked with Chad Canals. He has something to prove for him. Kyle, he has something to prove coming back. He's like, no, I'm not the guy you guys always saw at Ganassi running the fence down after leading a bunch of laps and should have winning a bunch of races. No. I'm championship caliber guy. And that whole 5 team, they were on the 48 too, right? They had a very rough last year. So here we are. I'm going with the 5. The 12 is out. I thought the 12 could be the kryptonite to Superman that is Kyle Larson and Cliff Daniels in that 5 group. So I'm going with the 5.
My gut tells me it's going to be Truex. Something about it.
That'd be gnarly.
It just does. And it's crazy too, because you don't think of Truex as having 4 wins this season, but he does. It's been quiet because he got a couple at the beginning of the year. Yeah, he does. And he ran really well at Richmond, a race that he did not win, I don't think, in the playoffs. Ran really well there. And Phoenix is very similar to Richmond. And Truex won at Phoenix earlier this year. He had a great run last weekend. And the team also, I think that's a big thing. I mean, all 4 teams know that they're capable of it. But I do think that Truex and the team, after what happened to them at Martinsville, they got some good vibes going right now. So I think that they're primed to kind of fly under the radar a little bit, run top 5 all day, maybe not have the most dominant car, whether it's a late pit stop or the car comes on late in the day when the sun begins to go down. I don't know. But something tells me that it's going to be Truex. And I also must say, too, that's not an indictment on Larson at all, because some people are going to say, oh, this playoff format's terrible. 9 wins, he doesn't win the championship. That's BS. Play by the rules that you're dealt. Okay. We knew this was a possibility. I've said it before on this show, Mamba. You can lead every single lap in 35 races and every single lap in the finale, and you can still lose the championship. That's just how the rules are. All that matters is if you lead the last one or if you're ahead of all of them in the championship 4 in the last one. My gut tells me Truex, so I'm going to roll with it.
Look, the caveat to the whole deal is I think that you are going to Chase Elliott has a lot of swagger, bro. Just that team has a lot of swagger, and they know they can do it. And I think he's gonna be like a bulldog trying to get that bone away from him. But
especially if the Braves win too.
He's hyped up. He's got Braves going good. He's got Georgia Bulldogs going good.
Yeah,
I mean, he's hyped. So I'm excited to see it. It's gonna be great. Who knows? We're gonna find out after this weekend.
But then he's the fastest car on 750 tracks, according to Motorsports Analytics. So it's like, we didn't even talk about him, but on paper, statistically, he probably is the favorite on paper. I don't know. This is tough. I do think, and I'll let you go for this. Do you think that the 4 drivers, the 2 Gibbs, the 2 Hendrick drivers, the 9, the 5, the 11, the 19, do you think they're the 4 best drivers in the Cup Series this year?
No.
You think YRB's up there?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're biased.
No, I am biased. I'm openly biased, but he is, because he led the Ford camp this year.
He did.
Like he did. Like, so he had 3 wins, and he was the most consistent leading into the playoffs. Like, I think he had like 6 or 7 consecutive races in the top 10, and like had a lot of stage points going in. Like, I think, again, I'm biased, right? But the stats back up my biasness. Is that a word?
Bias. It's just bias. Yeah. I think it is the 4 best drivers, though. Larson, obviously. Hamlin's been battling with him all regular season long. Truex is tied for 2nd most wins in the Cup Series this year. And then Chase, even though he's only got a couple and he hasn't won on an oval, he's been up front every single week. So
he literally hasn't won on an oval this year.
I know.
Like, that's a weird thing. And I'm not like knocking him, but like on the year, as you look at the year,
it's weird.
They haven't won on an oval. They've only won road courses, which is great for him next year, but
it's weird.
All right.
All right. Last thing before I let you go, how was the Halloween party? What'd you dress up as? I saw some pictures.
I was Django from Django Unchained.
Yeah.
Dove into my
you did it well.
box. Thank you. It was fun. It was a good, everyone was texting me like, what's the vibe gonna be like? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, we have a lot of things to celebrate. We got friends, family, and health. Like, let's celebrate. It was a good year for Ryan. Yeah, it's at his house, but he's in good spirits, man. He understood that they did almost everything they had to do, and I think he has a lot to hang his hat on. It's he had a really good year. It was his best year ever. So
yeah, it was.
Other than going to the Final Four, like, you can't really be mad about it.
He was Austin Powers, right?
He was Austin Powers. He did a good Austin Powers too. He had
yes.
He didn't shave because Austin doesn't have a beard. So Ryan ain't never gonna shave.
No, he ain't.
It's too close to off-season. He ain't shaving.
All right, I'll see you in Phoenix, Mamba.
Love you, dog.
A little different show this week, a little different vibe, but next week maybe we'll get the champion on. I feel like they won't be in high command next week.
I think next week maybe we try something new. Maybe like a old school big box. Maybe we'll get like 6-7 people on here and we'll all just rap. That'd be kind of cool.
That's a big box.
It's a big box. Little screen, big box.
Little screen, big box, big dreams, big things coming ahead for both of us. I'll see you in Phoenix, brother.
I love you, big dog.